want to hear all this heavy, hard breathing while you've been doing the other thing. So we live. So, there you go.
Got the slim fiction.
Okay, well, good. Okay, welcome along, everyone, to councillors and senior leadership team, and Ellen, thank you for coming along, and anyone else that's out watching in YouTube land. Welcome to the Risk and Audit Committee meeting this afternoon. We'll declare that open. Also, welcome to Mr. Mayor and councillors Webb and Naylon. Thank you, that are zooming in with us today. So I'll first of all call for any apologies. Right, are we going to, perhaps we'll report the Deputy Mayor when he comes back in? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, so there's no apologies to be received or any requests for leave. I hope someone moved that way. Councillor Fallett, seconded Deputy Mayor Basher. For apologies. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Can you just keep in mind that with people else? Yes, thank you. Well, next agenda item are the members' interests. Do any councillors have any members' interest to declare today in any of the items? No members. So resolved that members disclose any financial or non-financial interest in any of the agenda items. None declared. Can I have someone move that way, please? Councillor Weston, seconded Councillor Grafton. All in favour? Aye. Any opposed? No. Carried unanimously. Thank you. So now we are going to move on to agenda item number 3, which is the confirmation of the minutes of the 12th of July. Before we start, we had one amendment. Oh, actually, that's in the public excluded section. I'll hold over the public excluded portion of the minutes to public excluded. Any amendments or comments with regard to the minutes? Councillor Reedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Page 17, items 12 and 13. Resolved that the Risk and Audit Committee received the Risk and Audit Workshop report for information. There's also the same resolved comment is made under 13 as well.
Okay.
It's duplicated.
Oh, okay. So the resolution should say the Risk and Audit Committee received the projects and partnership report for information. Correct. Thank you for that amendment. We've duly noted. Oh, thank you. Spotted there. It's been through 3 of us and none of us have. Yeah. That's why we have this. Any other amendments? Anyone on? No, nothing out there. So with that one amendment, could someone please move the oh, sorry, we've got someone.
Happy to move that,
oh,
Madam Chair.
Mr. Mayor, yes.
Happy to move that.
Oh, happy to move. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Mayor has moved the resolution. Someone second, please. Councillor Grafton, all in favour? Aye. Any against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Now we'll move forward to the action point list. We're on page 23 now. We have 3 action points. Reserves Fund contribution information paper, that's action point number 215. So we have that in our papers today. Then we've got action point 216, the port and dredge. Douglas, have you got anything to add to that?
The only issue is we've done a follow-up with Bullock Coal on the sheet, and we've got an email that we'll issue out on their advice to us on the issue. They don't have any concern with the sand on the floor. They said it's one truly engineered and works to that effect. So we'll circulate that around people.
Well, it's been everyone's head there.
So that was the only issue outstanding on that one.
an email out. It was the one I forwarded on to you.
Okay.
I'll check up with it.
Yeah. Came out just after the last meeting. Douglas followed that up and it came out with the answer back. So we can just update that with a date in there. I did forward that email on, which will have a date on it that it will be out to councillors. Okay. Item 217, which is the EY follow-up issues, and we have that in our RAC agenda today in public excluded. Any other comments around those 3 action points? No? So could I please have someone, that the resolution is that the Risk and Audit Committee received the action point report for information. Councillor Fallett, seconded. Deputy Mayor Basher, all in favour? Aye. Any against? Thank you, carried unanimously. Now we move on to the Risk and Audit Work Plan. And very much as read, councillors will all be very familiar with this. Any comments? No, thank you. And we have the resolution is that the Risk and Audit Committee received the Risk and Audit Work Plan for information. If someone move that way, please. Councillor Grafton, seconded. Councillor O'Keefe, all in favour? Aye. Any against?
Name recorded, please.
Thank you. Councillor Reedy against. Carried. Thank you. Right, moving on to agenda item number 6, page 26, which is the Reserve Fund Contribution Report. And this is a paper for information up to the 30th of June 2023. Lynn, is there anything, or Douglas, anything further to add, or I'm taking it as read?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to thank Councillor Sampson for catching up and updating further information. This is a piece of work that's being completed still for our end of year report, so our final reserve supplementary balances may be slightly different to this, but this is a summary of where we've got to from the time when we tabled this at the last meeting. It was tabled, so this is just a replica of what was on the table.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Councillor Weston.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Cemetery fencing, what cemetery was that?
I would have to have a look into the legis and get back to you and do that later in the meeting.
Yep, sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Any further questions? Deputy Mayor Basher.
I was just wondering, is there a buffer amount that's seen as a minimum you should have in the reserve fund at any one time, or is it just reliant on activity?
Well, there's not probably any minimum balance you would have. I mean, you've got funds here to develop and upgrade reserves is appropriate. Probably more important thing I would be thinking is, and there's I know there's a report being worked on at the moment, is how you're going to allocate your funds over time. There's a bit more structure around that. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, from my previous experience, you might spend millions in one year or just a few thousand next year. It's more important as what other projects, and are they good use of those funds. So, yeah, there's not really a quick answer to your question.
No, that's what I was thinking that if there is some infrastructure that could be done now and related to this, I mean, it seems to be the funds there to do it.
I'm imagining that come your long-term plan, you'll have you'll be showing what you plan to spend it on, or councillors to look at over the next 10 years. Would that be correct?
Yes, it is correct. The long-term plan is where a lot of work gets looked at, and I know there's been some information shared with the council around some potential future projects where some of the reserve fund is looked at. So it's ongoing, and it will definitely be a matter for great interest in our, I'm sure.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Reedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll defer to Councillor Sampson on this. I've just been working on it, but just 2 items if I can, please. I know it's only petty cash, the tree planting 955. So is that 1 tree, 2 trees? I thought it was quite a high number. For my understanding, this was only 1 tree, but I'm just asking that. I'm happy to receive an answer. The other one was buildings, community facilities, just under 36,000. and seems quite a, I'm just not sure what buildings we're referring to, and I am aware that we've got an issue with the Waimea Hall, and whether or not that's part and parcel of the community facilities. And just a comment, if I may please, regarding this, the reserve fund contributions. My understanding is that, I heard you say, Madam Chair, what do you intend spending this money on in terms of the long-term plan? I thought it was up to the governance people, governance members to look at that in consultation with the community members. I just sort of a comment that has gone above my head.
Okay, so sorry.
So there's three items.
We'll start with that one first for clarification. The management will put forward a recommendation for consideration by councillors around a program of work, so if you want to call it that may well utilise the reserves contribution. Would that be a better way of describing?
I think that's fair. The one I just really want to stress is that this money, you need to make sure you're getting everything you've heard about over a 10-year period. It's really easy to take everything in front of you in 1 year and then you allocate it and it's gone. It's like it's a pile of money that you've got to make the best bang out of it. So it's one of those items that you should be out there talking to your groups and committees and feeding back the stuff to us. But again, it's that you want that 10-year vision, not just that everyone goes, I'll get them first and I'll have the whole milk. No, that's not what you're trying to do. Trying to get the best bang for buck out of yourself.
Back to the tree, circling back to the trees, I think Mr. Mayor might be able to tell us about this because I think he helped plant them.
Yeah, I think most of it was an appearance fee. No, just kidding, councillors. I understand the tree they bought was a larger specimen, so that would have been, it wouldn't have been a cheap. It would have been, I don't know what it was, but it would have been a couple $100 probably. There was also a plaque and mounting and things like that were associated with it. So I'm thinking that's where the cost came from. But Reefton may be able to shed some more light on that.
Simon and Webb, have you got something there?
Yes, Madam Chair, there was a plinth that was needed. We had a plaque that was donated from by the government, but of course that needed to be mounted on a plinth. So it was all the work involved with the plinth and then preparing for the planting. And I think there might have even been a bit of a donation for the full band that came along and played. Yeah. So it was to commemorate the coronation of the king.
I thought that was. Oh, sorry, I was just going to pipe in. It could be also just looking back from the ICB minutes that it was actually not just the tree; it was other trees planted around the park. My understanding was that Moira and that they came. Wasn't that they came and they contributed? They had some money in the and the council also contributed, but I'd have to go back and look at the minutes.
I think we understand what it was for. You're all right with that. I'm very much around the King's coronation and everything.
Yeah.
Right there. Thank you for that clarification. And then circling right back to the buildings, community facilities. Is there any? Would you be able to answer that, Lynn, or would we require some time to get back to that one?
Madam Chair, I'd like the opportunity to come back to that one and just report back between now and the next meeting, if that's okay. And similarly with Kalamea, I found that information for the earlier question. I can see it's Kalamea area, but I'm not seeing if it's in natural burial site of the old cemetery, so I'll look into that for you. That's right.
Okay, if you can, yep, it would be very good. That's great, thank you. So we'll, I think just via. Oh, sorry, Councillor Nate on. Thanks.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I didn't bring it up in the earlier on, but I thought this report was going to give us the criteria for this fund, because there is strict criteria, because it comes from reserves contributions for subdivisions, etc. And also how we went about allocating it, because there was some confusion over whether it happened at annual plan time only or long. And I've heard mentioned long-term plan. So yeah, I think we still need that information about how people go about, applying for it. Is it because we've got, the Anangahoe Hall Committee are looking for fund and upgrade their hall, and they're wondering what fund is available and what the criteria is for this fund, etc. So if we could just have a little bit more information, I know the action point said we were going to get it at this meeting, but there seems to be a little bit missing. That's all from what I thought the report was going to cover.
Okay, so we can definitely.
So there's two reports. One is the report that's been produced here by the Finance Manager, Mrs. Brooks, on what's been spent over the last 3 years. And the second report, Bronwyn, whose last name escapes me, is working on the report that Councillor Nailon's referred to. I was going to have a catch up with her in the first draft today, but she's come down unwell. So if that report is in draft along the lines of what you're talking about, come back here.
Okay, so can that go back on the action point, or is that staying on the action point?
Just going back to the action points now.
We can certainly add it here. Might be a action point perhaps, but let's make, because it's being prepared by community services, but let's get it captured on one of the committee's action points anyway.
Who has the next meeting? You've just had a CISC meeting, haven't you?
Correct.
So you won't be.
This council will be RAC.
Yeah.
CISC won't be till November.
But I mean, let's get the report done. Let's just get it captured. Let's get it captured somewhere anyway. So there's no issue with it being done. That's for sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll just make sure that I think we'll leave it on this action point list,
okay,
and then we won't lose sight of it. So that's where we'll just update that action, please. Okay, so we're going to go back. Sorry, just to circle back to where I was. So dealing just with this report that we've got here in front of us around what's come out of the reserve contribution and what's gone in, I'm going to put the motion that the Risk and Audit Committee receive the reserve fund contribution information paper to the 30th of June 2023. Could I have someone move that way, please? Councillor O'Keefe, seconded. Councillor Reedy? Yep, all in favour? Aye. Any against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Thanks for your help there, Douglas and Lynn. Okay, now we're going to go to the next paper, which is the update on the Director Remuneration Report. So this is for Buller Holdings Limited. So just to give a slight introduction to it, 2 years ago when we set the fees for the Buller Holdings directors, we did make it an action for what was FRAC then but is now Risk and Audit, that we readdress or seek information to look at the directors' fees in preparation for the Buller Holdings Limited AGM, which usually occurs in October. So this is one part of the process. The other part of the process will be around board evaluation. So just dealing with this at the moment, and then we may move on to have a discussion about evaluation, because Mr Mayor, Mr Judd and I met with Buller Holdings directors today for our quarterly catch up, and we will prepare some minutes which will come to the next RAC meeting, but we did advise them that this paper was coming today and also had a discussion about board evaluation. So let's just deal with this part of it at the moment. I am going to just pass over to Douglas for a moment, just around the paper, because I'll let you speak.
Yes, so thank you, Madam Chair. So one small error on the report. So the director's report, you may have noticed, is all odd pages. So when I put it together, I've left the even pages out. And so the reference to the 2.2% movement for CCO, which I assured the chairperson that it was in the report, it's actually on page 8. So I apologise for that. I'm glad that none of you picked up on that too quickly. So I will circulate. The reason this has happened is it's when it came to us, it had a password secure on it, and you couldn't convert it easily to what we needed. So I did that thing, I printed it off, thought I'd scanned it correctly, obviously haven't, and so I will circulate that to you, and we will get it put back onto diligence. So you can appreciate the other pages are just different tables and different information, but that percentage movement is what the CCO movement levels has been in the last 12 months. And then the rest of it is really hopefully self-explanatory as per the recommendation we're putting forward to you for consideration.
Okay, thank you for that update and explanation. I'll put it out there for if councillors feel like they'd like to see the whole report prior to making any decision, we do have time on our side, and so we could transfer this to the next meeting if that was the view, or if you feel that based on the information Douglas has provided that we can consider this, then I'm happy to do so as well. So I'm looking for any comments. Councillor Edie.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Two things. I'm happy with what's been provided. 2.2 has come from an independent source, IOD, and very well presented. As for the small error in terms of page numbers, irrelevant. Okay. The 2.2 is backed up anyway. Second one is the recommendation. Recommend to the council. So we are recommending to the council. So I'd expect to see an agenda item coming up later regarding this. Okay.
And at that time, the full
report or anything.
Report could be attached.
We'll do it
so good point. So are you prepared to move that way? Okay. Do I have a seconder? Deputy Mayor Bashir, do I have any further discussion? Councillor Naylon.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I disagree with the recommendation, and if you refer to page 31, which is and it's got setting board fees, and under the introduction, and then I think it's the third paragraph down, organisations should support and justify their board fee decisions with good disclosure, governance and accountability practices, and this means demonstrating that fees have been set using robust processes and data. I can't understand how we're setting a fee, an increase in fees, when we haven't seen any reports about whether the directors are doing a good job, bad job, or whatever. So I don't think that we're in a position to make any increase in fees until we've seen that information, which, you know, we've yet to decide how we're going to do that.
Okay, I think we've got two. Oh, okay, Mr. Mayor, I'll go to you first. You might.
Yeah, so fair to say that conversation was had today with the board around in our interactions as to whether or not we were doing this around the right way. My thoughts on it, and open, I hear your point, Councillor Naylon, is that it's similar to how we have done it with the council chief executive. We've decoupled performance from remuneration, and so you know, the discussion around performance is you know, the next phase of the interview process, or however we want to assess the director performance, but the actual payment per director is almost irrelevant to the name of the person who holds that role. It's what do we think it's worth to be a director of BHL, and then whether or not we've got the right people filling that role is a question for performance. That's our thinking. But you know, I mean, I guess if you've got a director that performs poorly, are you going to pay someone 2.2% less than the guy next to him? At the end of the day, the directors, I would have thought we kind of effectively assess what the job is worth, and then we manage the performance of the people filling those roles. And if we're not happy, we change the people.
Yep. It just seems a bit strange that we're going to reward people when we don't know whether they're performing or not. So, you know, this decoupling, I've always been strongly against the decoupling. I mean, I live in a world where, you know, my income is determined by my performance, if you like, and a lot of people who are self-employed do the same thing. And this decoupling of it is to me, is nonsense. If you're not performing, why would we reward you with a fee rise?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Councillor Naylon. I acknowledge your view there. I do share the view of the Mayor, but if it is to provide you with any reassurance that you may require about the performance overall of the company, of Buller Holdings Limited, the update we received today was very promising, and we'll distribute that in the minutes that we put together over the next few days for to go out to councillors that will come forward in next month's RAC. So I do have a mover and a seconder. I'll ask for any other discussion further. I'm going to put the vote, put it to a vote, all in favour. So we've got, and any against? So we've got everyone's in favour apart from Councillor Nairon and Councillor Webb are against. Did I get that right? Anyone in the room against? No. Okay, so that's carried. Thank you. I'm going to move on to investments and borrowings report now. This is agenda item number 8. And this is as at the 30th of June. This gives an overview of our bank, what we have in the bank and invested, and borrowings. So it gives us a net effect. So I'm taking that report as read. Do I have anything further, Douglas, that we need to add? Or Lynn? Thank you. Questions? I'll go, Councillor Grafton, I'll go down the table. Councillor
Just one on a typo there, is it? Unless I'm reading it wrong on page 3.6 on page 40.
Yeah.
Financial strategy of council is that net debt is no more. Is it?
Yeah, we've had that again.
Oh,
you need to get that one fixed up,
yeah,
please.
I'll have to go and stand over the officer.
Yeah, well, it is, should say no more than 25 million. Thank you. Councillor Fallett, did you no, same thing. Councillor Reedy.
So I
Saw that as well.
Yeah.
It's the monthly test.
Oh.
Any other questions? Councillor Sampson.
I'll just go back to where it was. Page 40, we've got the funds borrowed and used for additional fund recovery expenditure incurred. Or councils are waiting for the grant from external claims to be paid, and it's saying it's a timing difference. So with the funds that have been, for the work that's been done, are we assured that all those funds, all the claims that we put in are going to be paid back to balance what has been paid?
You have a chance.
Yes, thank you. That's a good question, and it's certainly one that we watch for. So, my understanding is if we look further into the reports that later in this agenda, is the column showing if there's any unapproved amounts for those projects, for the NEMA funded projects. So that's one way of watching for that, and as I looked, I think the amounts are relatively small. So we can look to that in that section if you like.
I think I just add too, we don't go and borrow short term just for those claims. It's part of cash flow management, so the two aren't quite the same thing. But certainly, yeah, will at times we have made claims and we will continue to make claims where some parts of them do get debated by the government funding, which to some degree, if you're on the taxpayer side, that's good. So we just, we obviously claim everything we think we possibly claim, and now and again there will be something where actually we can't claim. But more than that's not hopefully not that too often, but yeah, this is more about managing our cash flow and not having to make cash deposits and that type of thing. Just choose the funding mechanism for the short term.
So therefore, in that time difference, we'll be picking up the interest on those funds.
That's right. And we obviously, as soon as we can, we pay back now again, just to release here. We're not.
Because I did notice that in the tip head, we've got retention money, but I also noticed that it came under budget. So having that retention, what's the percentage? Is it 10%, 8%? Just mention.
Yeah, the retentions will be different. Depending on the contract season, they will be different. And we obviously hold that on until the performance has been achieved or the period of maintenance has been completed, and then we release it back out. So it's sitting on our books as a discretion. So there is, so technically there's a little bit of interest being there, but it's much.
Okay. Any further questions in this paper? Okay, I'm going to put the resolution that the Risk and Audit Committee received the investments and borrowings report to the 30th of June for information. Could someone move that way, please? I'll go Councillor Howard down there. Just spotted it, and seconded Councillor Grafton. All in favour? Aye. Any against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Now we'll move on to the projects and partnership report. And as you know, this is an update on our major projects. This has flowed through the projects and partnership meeting, which was that held Monday this week.
Yes.
Yep. And it's a monthly update of all the projects on this using the same formula. We also had the minutes of the 10th of July. We have subsequently discussed those reports. We're just a little bit out of sync, which is a little bit unfortunate. But anyway, they are the minutes from the 10th of July, which are there. So I'll go to the actual reports now and ask. There's a few that are starting to get closed off, so that's good news. I'll ask if there's any questions on any of the reports. Councillor Reedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Page 50. Page 50. NEMA Tranche 2 funding.
You're back in the minutes, are you? Yep. You're in the minutes of the 10th of July. Yeah.
Just I'm going to piggyback on what Rosalie was saying before. Just under the bullet point 1, 2, 3, 30, Penny noted the claim of 962 has been made, 962k. There was a holdover for retentions on the tip head, which will get paid by NEMA in March 24. I just need a confirmation that it's the retentions that will get paid in 2024, or is it the 962k that will be paid in March 24. The reason why I asked the question is because when we move to page 53 at the bottom there, we've got invoice 962k as claim 7 and saying that it's been paid 962.
Mm-hmm.
So I just a bit of a contradiction for me as a reader. What's being paid in March 24, please?
It looks like the retentions.
Yeah, that's just, because I'm just looking at the wording of, whereas it's the holdover retention of the tip will get paid by NEMA. I'm just not sure whether that's, the wording is quite right, because I would have thought we, BBC, like has been discussed with retentions before, we're holding the retention to pay them out of March 24, so I'm not quite sure why. Maybe NEMA has said we won't pay you the retentions until you pay them out. That might be the time.
Can you give us a little bit more on that?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Claim 7 has been paid by the District Council. Claim 8's with NEMA and claim 9 is been paid. So we have received at the date of this report, it's dated June, and I think this is an issue that you might have referred to earlier, Councillor Reedy and Chair.
It's the timing.
The timing thing, because this is the timing of this coming through to this committee is just we had this as well with other queries. I think we have about a 3 week delay between the content and the minutes that we're going to talk.
Okay, so let's get, if we go back to the original question then from Councillor Reedy, correct me if I'm wrong, that the money for that tip head project of 962 has been paid to council. Is that's correct? And then so if you talk about the second sentence, which there was a holdover for retentions on the tip head, doesn't mention a figure, does it? Which will get paid by NEMA in March 2024. So do you know what that looks like?
Yeah, okay, so we'll find the exact dollar value and add that to the next meeting. We'll make it an action point, okay? For next meeting, if you want to do that.
Okay.
We'll get clarity, that way we've got clarity on it when it comes out and it's recorded in the minutes.
Yes.
I just a little bit, as I say, Linda said about the report, and the report dated June. The minutes here from the meeting on 10 July, so they were referring to a report that says to me on page 53 that we had invoiced the 962 to NEMA, and they have since paid that 962 as at June 30. Yeah. The report, page 6, I know I'm spending a bit of time on here, but when I look at this here, Penny noted this is in July, Penny noted that a claim of 962 has been made. So the claim has been made, but when I look at the schedule, which is stated as at 30 June, it also says it's been paid. Yes, I'm saying?
Could have been paid between the 30th of June and 10th of July. I think it's a timing issue. Instead of well, let's just get a bit more information and get it circulated out for clarity. I think that's the answer there. Good question. I do think there's a timing in the reporting that's the issue.
I think probably the ultimate and the answer here is that the money's been paid, right?
Yeah.
So the money has been paid. So
we can agree that.
Yes.
I think, but what Councillor Reedy is saying is it's all in the same report, and it seems to be a contradiction. So let's just get this. Yes, the timing.
The good news is
the money's been received. That's right. We'll just circulate a bit more information on that for clarity, and then around the retention part. Okay, Councillor Howard.
On page 51 and just the minutes, I'd raise some questions with staff around the number of pumping stations that needed lifting, and I'd just like to note it in the minutes or put on the action report that I'd like to see come to the long-term plan deliberation about the risk and the priority around the remaining pump stations, so we can look at it as a program of work moving on.
Okay, so I'm not sure that sits nicely as an action point in RAC, because it could get lost in the long-term plan process.
I think just noted in the minutes that I'd raise that as concern, and I noted that from staff is that they would be in their long-term planning program.
Like a register of things that should be in the long-term plan considerations. Lynn's nodding to me, so can you please ensure that that gets identified as something for consideration in the long-term plan, please?
Through the chair, could I please ask Councillor Howard to send me a message and I'll put it into the log just to make sure.
I can give you something on that.
Yeah,
So I'll do that. I'm just mulling over too, just so if you bear with me, with whether we should be just looking whether this gets added to our strategic risk register as well. So I think I'll pick up the email we sent out last night earlier today on this particular issue, so I'll make sure you're copied in there. Because it is important we get it captured wherever we need to. So I think there's a number, it's probably not, as you say, not a RAC action matter, definitely a long-term plan, but I think it's also in the strategic risk register too.
Okay, so we'll capture that in 2 places then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Reedy.
Sorry, Chair, for coming again, just picking up on what Joe's saying. Being picked up in 2 areas, I'm just wondering, and probably going outside the square here, the third area would be the workshop that are coming up. I'm not sure whether or not this type of activity or operation is covered by the DIA 950k, this 300 which has already been allocated. I'm talking about long-term planning, people are having a workshop shortly, but I'm obviously over this year I'm moving out of back into other areas, so I'll just put it out there.
That it gets, I'm not sure what the workshop is, but will it fit into?
There's a couple of workshops. I think Councillor Reedy's right. I mean, I think the key focus is we tag it wherever we can and look for whoever might want to fund it, because it certainly needs to be, even, I'll put it this way, if it's not captured and caught in by the council's activity plans for waters, then it needs to make sure the NTU records also get it captured as well. So it's either way, it's something we've got to tidy up within our water supply systems within the schools.
Thank you.
We'll send that. Yep.
Good. Councillor Howard.
For clarification, I don't think we can rush and do funding until we really understand the level of risk on those remaining stations and what priority it is within that wider lot of demands on our money. So that's why I'd suggest the long-term plan rather than a rush decision into the better off funding.
I think all these things come or flush out in your discussions in the long-term plan and the workshop that Councillor Reid is referring to. So I think there'll be full discussion on that by the sound of it. Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thanks. Two things on that. I understand that of the 13 pump stations, they were ranked in order of priority. So there was a bit of work, or a lot of work went into determining the significance of each one. And so they started at the top and working their way down. So I think there'd be a reasonable amount of knowledge around the criticality or otherwise of those. So better off funding maybe an option if that's sensible. Something just for clarity, and I'm not sure what you're referring to so much about retentions, but some of these projects are coming in under budget. We're achieving them cheaper than what was allocated for them. What was important to remember is that the unspent portion of those allocations is only 40% applicable to be carried over or applied to another project. So the additional that's what came out in the projects and partnership this month, which was news to me. I was thinking it was the whole figure, but it's not. It's only 40% of whatever those underspends are. So the little bit left over from the tip head, the little bit left over from the reefed and rock wall, and that it's only 40% of that which could be applied to an alternate project that that we needed to add to in terms of the tranche 2 work.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that update. You're looking a little bit perplexed there, Councillor Reid.
Oh, I think might speak. Just to what Mayor Klein has mentioned, it's news to me about the 40%, but I'm not doubting that. It's agree that we can't spend all the funding what have you. Is there anything available for councillors through the chair? For councillors to have a better understanding of what has just been explained. That's all in terms of if we're say 50% under budget, we're going to spend 40 of it onto another project. That's what I'm hearing. So
I think what Mr. Mayor is saying is that that's just come to light this week at your meeting via one of the external partners. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so my understanding, I'd always thought that allocation from the Crown was ours to apply to the tranche 2 funding. And correct me if I'm wrong, Douglas, but this is my understanding that came out of projects in partnership, is that the Crown's view is that the underspend on individual projects, that the 40% that they've covered of the BDC component is all that's actually reallocated. The other 60% is just as a win for the government, if you like, that money won't be drawn down. So their intent wasn't to be a big gift to the community. Their intent was to complete the projects that needed to be completed. If they've been done under budget, then that's a good thing by our project management team and contractors. But it's only the BDC portion of the underspend that can be reapplied to, to say the port or to the wharf repairs or whatever comes up.
That's my recollection as well.
I think probably the reason they haven't done that earlier is because if they had explained that earlier, all of the projects would have come, would have matched the budget. And so they've said it later, so the projects, people have tried to be efficient with the projects thinking they were going to get a win. And now the win hasn't sort of eventuated.
Do we have an idea of the quantum of that sort of figure, or we're talking a lot about it, but it might end up being not a massive amount of money, or we won't know until each project is finished?
No, I'm not sure on that, but are we on two different wavelengths here? Is it only the percentage of the BDC contribution, or 40% of government funding that you can get back? So
let's clarify the point there. So that what it would be is that there's a 60-40 split for infrastructure where Crown will fund 60% in a disaster and the council has to have insurance covered for the 40%. And that's the 40%. In the case of Buller, we never reached the magical $1 million excess deductible to therefore have a claim. So what the Crown came in and said was, that's okay, we'll fund your 40% as well, because it'd be hardship for Bullong if we can do that. So then, and I think rightfully so, as the mayor's just said, they've said, okay, but if we get a project that's under budget, it's not a double win for you. You win. We'll let you win on the 40, not on the 60 and the 40, which, you know, now when you put the taxpayer hat on, that's probably reasonable fair. So yeah, they are two different things, but they are linked together.
So I guess at the end of the day, the main thing is that the job gets done. It's externally funded, and if we come in under budget, well, we haven't really lost anything because the job got completed.
That's right. And if there's a need for us to have tipped in some more from our 40%, then we can take it from the 40% we're under on. If that
right.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So, Madam Chair, the number that was given to us at Projects in Partnership is the actual surplus currently sitting for potential redistribution, subject to NEMA approval, would be 286,000. Which is 40% of what the Projects and Partnerships reports would tell you is the underspend on the 2 or 3 projects that are under. I think one of them is about 70 odd K. I think the tip head was 240 or something. There was a few different ones. What I've asked for as chair of Projects and Partnership is for a table to be brought to the front of that report so we don't lose sight of those. And so it's just because these projects are finished and kind of the actual reporting against the project itself is kind of done because they've been completed and it's really just the overhang underspend that's there. So I've asked for those to be collated into a table so it becomes really clear going forward what we'll be looking to redistribute or reallocate rather in March or whenever we have to make that decision.
Okay, that will make it extremely clear, I think, once you get that information back. So I'm going to draw this to a close, but have you got something on that particular topic? Or?
I think it's been answered because the question I had was that 40% of what was left went back, or was it up to the 40% of what the government had given us? You know, of that 40%, so that I
think it'll become,
I
think he has, and I think it will become even more clear once you get a table with all
because
the
we gave nothing
projects. Okay, so you'll get that. That'll come forward at the beginning of the Projects and Partnership reporting, so it'll flow through to RAC anyway. Yep, good, thank you. So that covers that off. Are there any other discussion points in any of the other update on projects? No, is that Councillor Nolan with the hand up or not? No, oh no. Readjusting your glasses, that's okay. So I'm going to put the motion that the Risk and Audit Committee receive the Projects and Partnership update report for information. Could I have someone move that way, please? Deputy Councillor Grafton, are you seconding Deputy Mayor? Deputy Mayor Basher is the seconder. All in favour? Aye. Any against? No, carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to we're moving into public excluded. So we have the draft recommendation is there that the public be excluded from the following parts of proceedings of the meeting, and there are 2 agenda items to do with the update on the Ernst & Young annual report to the 30th of June. That's around audit fees, and then the Projects and Partnership IAF funded project. Before I put the motion, any discussion?
Should also include the in-committee meeting minutes from the last meeting as part of that.
Yeah, we'll bring that in as the first part, also because they're public excluded. We don't normally list them in the list, but we will. Good point. Did you want to discuss?
Yes, I'll stand by what I've previously commented on. No point repeating it. So I'm against.
Okay, so I'll put the motion for the reasons listed in the draft recommendation. Could I have a mover for that, please? Someone move to go into public excluded. Councillor Naylon, seconded Councillor Ballot. All in favour? Aye. Any against? Thank you, councillor Reid is against, so we're carried, so we're moving into public speaking. Thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
Thank you to
It was nice and short.
the